In my mind, there's one choice for roofing around here, and I'd go with your best choice. Whether it's time to replace your roof or repair it, Best Choice Roofing provides top-notch roofing services tailored to meet the unique needs of Detroit homes and businesses. They serve the region and inside the city of Detroit, too. You can find out more at bestchoiceroofing.com/Detroit. That's bestchoiceroofing.com/Detroit, or call 313-474-7031. That's 313-474-7031. Hello, friends, and welcome to your Daily Detroit. I am Jer Stays. How do organizations with deep roots and old traditions handle the challenges of today's communities, especially in a city like Detroit, which has such a unique and sometimes difficult story? The Solanus Casey Center on Detroit's east side is a solid example. It honors the memory of a respected figure, Father Solanus Casey, but it's also very involved in the neighborhood today, offering real help like food and counseling. So how does a place like this keep going? How does it balance its spiritual goals with practical support for people? And what can its long history and how it has changed teach us about building strong communities? My guest on episode 1656 of the show is Brother Stephen Kropp, the director of the Solanus Casey Center. He talks about connecting the center's past to the real needs people have now, the quiet power of simply being present, and how faith can lead to direct action in surprising ways. This conversation explores what it really means to support a community. With the passing of Pope Francis on Easter Monday, he was the head of the Catholic Church. I figured this was a good time to talk about the work happening on the ground. Feedback, as always, dailydetroit@gmail.com, or leave a voicemail, 313-789-3211. Let's jump into that conversation. Joining me here at the table at Techtown is Brother Stephen Kropp, the director of the Solanus Casey Center. Welcome to Daily Detroit.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here today. This is a great opportunity.
And I'm glad to have you here because the Solanus Casey Center has been doing so much on the east side of Detroit for a very long time. And there's so many places we could start. The good works, we could talk about, the building expansion, things like that. But why don't we start at the very beginning and talk about Father Solanus Casey, for whom this is named after and why it's named after this person? Because I think regardless if you practice Catholicism or not, the impact of Solanus Casey is something that is important to local history and Detroit history and a root of things. So why don't we talk about him for a little bit?
I'd be happy to. Father Solanus is so beloved to so many people, some of whom still remember him from before he died in 1957, but tens of thousands of more who come to visit his tomb even today. We get approximately 120,000 visitors a year in the center. And last year we had just over 1 million prayer petitions that we placed at his tomb. So he has this incredible draw to people yet today. And I think it really goes back to his simple, humble way of being, of ministering, of being with people. I like to think of it that when you were in Solanus's presence, you were the only thing that mattered or existed. He was completely focused on you and what you came there. Even though there might be a line of 100 people waiting to see him, whoever was sitting in front of him was the one who mattered at that moment.
That is an amazing skill, and I think part of why he's been beloved for so long. There's a lot going on with his memory, right, when it comes to the church.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Currently, Solanus holds the title Blessed, which is one of the stages toward sainthood in the church. He's one of only 3 American-born men who hold that title Blessed. So he was the second one after Blessed Stanley Rother from Oklahoma. So hopefully, sometime soon, maybe he'll be the first American-born male saint.
Wow.
We're waiting eagerly for that moment. But until then, he still draws people, not so much to himself, but he draws people to God through his example and life.
And that example lives on through the center, right? And the work that you all are doing. So I'm somewhat familiar with it, but I really want you to talk a little bit about the kinds of programs, because it's been an institution on the east side for so long.
Absolutely, yeah. Our monastery, St. Bonaventure Monastery, and our public chapel has been there for over 140 years. We were some of the first inhabitants of that part of the city of Detroit. In fact, I think when we were preparing to move to Detroit some 140 plus years ago, that Mount Elliott was the city limits. So we just kind of made it into the city of Detroit. But the Solanus Casey Center has been there since 2002 to honor the life and memory of Blessed Solanus, who himself lived in Detroit at St. Bonaventure's primarily in the 30s and 40s. You know, he arrived just before the Great Depression and then stayed there until his retirement and then returned for the year prior to his death. So at the Solanus Casey Center, really since 2017, when Solanus was named Blessed, we've undergone a large project to expand the center, substantially due to a large gift from Art Van Aelslander and his foundation. We added a new gift shop. We added a cafe, which is run by our On the Rise Cafe, which is a ministry of Capuchin Soup Kitchen. It's a training program for people coming out of treatment programs or out of incarceration. They learn how to bake and run retail, and so we're really blessed to have them present in our building to cater to the many guests and people now who come because the cafe is there and they can learn something about Blessed Solanus along the way. So it's been a great project, restoring the chapel, renovating the building over these past 8 years. And then most recently, we've done a complete renovation of our museum, which we'll dedicate on May 10th. So hopefully you can come down and see that. It's very exciting to me. It's been a long work in progress.
Those are all amazing steps. And I personally have had a number of On the Rise bakery goods. Like it's a great way to kind of get yourself started into that. And especially if you're not as familiar with everything, try that, then do something else and get in something else. Now, when it comes to like the ministry portion of things, you've been active on the east side, for many years. What are some of the things that you've been seeing over the last years and gaps that you've had to, work to fill and support?
Besides the Solanus Casey Center, of course, we have in Detroit on the east side, the Capuchin Soup Kitchen, which has a long history going back almost 100 years. We're getting close to that. Started because of the Great Depression. Among the 25 of us who live here, the Capuchins who live here in the city, we work along with so many other people to offer not only hot meals, but food to take home and clothing, assistance with setting up maybe a new apartment or the like. We're partnering with Catholic Charities on some housing. At the Solanus Center, we've really been trying to expand not only our traditional ministries there, which is the sacrament of penance, also known as confession, and a place of prayer, but we've also been trying to expand to offer some counseling free of charge to people who come in. So we have 2 counselors and one of our brothers who's a counselor who is available throughout the week to just be present for people who might have some particular burden in their life that they're trying to get some help with. And really, that's the following of the ministry of Solanus, who was there to listen to people. He didn't often have a lot of advice for people. He didn't often have a lot of profound words to say to people, but he listened and he reassured them. And it's an incredible gift.
Sometimes there's a lot of power in just listening.
Absolutely.
Sometimes especially when you're trying to be in a situation where you're communicating with God or something like that, it's not necessarily that the person you're talking to will have all the answers for you. It's helping you get to those answers and listen to the words that are coming down, if that makes sense, at least in my thoughts.
Oh, absolutely. And to be listened to in this day and age is an incredible gift too. I mean, we're constantly, our watches are buzzing and our phones are ringing and we're looking at the clock and we're thinking ahead to the schedule and, and somebody's in front of you who needs you. I mean, to be able to have that focus on somebody else is an incredible gift. I mean, I think it's so important to have that connection. And like you said, then it allows us to really dig deeper into ourselves so that we can know ourselves more fully.
When I think about that kind of conversation, I see so many people now, they're even turning to things like artificial intelligence, like typing into the chat bot because there's so much desire to be heard right now. And especially in this climate where it feels like everyone has an opinion, but sometimes, at least maybe it's because I'm a little bit older. They joke around that I'm a, geriatric millennial or whatever. I feel like as much as I talk into a microphone for a living, a big part of understanding the world around you is that listening and that quiet participation.
Absolutely. Just being present, and really present. instead of always, thinking ahead or thinking about something else. But yeah, just really being present. It's something we, I think, have taken for granted, and it's kind of slipping away from us. So we really try to offer that as much as possible for people who come.
Now, how has it been putting together the resources and the support to do all of these projects? Because, I mean, you've got the soup kitchen, I believe it's on Meldrum, correct?
Correct.
And then you've got the Residences of St. Matthew. You've got this, museum dedication coming up May 10th. That is an amazing amount of progress in a place where I think sometimes people get frustrated about how slowly things happen. It's great to me that there is this forward march for a group that is very dedicated to helping the community.
Yeah, we have incredible supporters. People just are always ready to give. And I think because they trust us, I guess, toot our own horn a little bit here. People trust us. I mean, we really strive to be faithful stewards of the gifts we've been given by our benefactors and those who trust us. We're able to do this without government assistance. So, we're not currently worried about, if we're going to be getting funds or not from government sources, but we are a little worried, are we going to be able to help the number of people who might have to come to us as other programs perhaps, are not able to meet the needs. But, we're ready to do everything we can. And we only can do that because there are so many countless people who are ready to help us, to help others. So
yeah, I know from talking to family and such on the East Side that it is so important. My cousin is somebody who is very active in her faith and will come by the center. And it makes me think to ask, for someone who has never been, how does one approach it to start, whether it's going to the soon to open museum or the chapel and things like that? I'm assuming it's like a welcoming environment, because I want people to see, if they are curious for themselves, how they can, be a part of it. Because I think sometimes when there is something new for someone, they may not know or feel as comfortable just because it's new, nothing about you all.
No, absolutely.
So what is that experience like for somebody new who's coming through?
Our hope is to make it as welcoming an experience as possible. We always try to have at least one of our employees and one of our brothers at the reception desk to welcome people, to help them if they have questions, to direct them around the center, to tell them about Solanus and hand out information to them. I think the space itself is so conducive. I mean, we have, 3 beautiful gardens, 2 of which, can welcome our guests as they come in, that, you're just kind of drawn into the place because of the beauty of the space. And when you walk in and you see these, soaring ceilings and skylights and everything's flooded with light, I think people just feel so welcome and a part of it. But we're happy to be welcoming and help guide people around. And it's a no pressure kind of situation. There's no admission fee. We don't really ask you for anything. There's no questions asked on our behalf, but we're always ready to welcome and answer people's questions so that they can just feel free to wander around and figure it out and just enjoy, I think, the peace that most people experience when they're there.
Mm. What drew you to this work?
That's a good question. This year, I think I've been ordained as a priest 21 years, if I'm counting right, and I've been in the order almost 30 years now. It's interesting, when I was a young man entering, just starting out in this life, it was kind of the place I went because I had an idea that I wanted to pursue a religious vocation in the Catholic Church, but didn't know exactly where to go. And I knew the Capuchins from where I grew up in Wisconsin, so I kind of went to them. And it's been, I guess, an incredible adventure for 29 years since I started, and have ministered all over the Midwest. I've been in Wisconsin and Illinois and Michigan. I'm actually going to be transferred to our native reservation mission in Montana here in a couple of months. So
wow,
it's
beautiful, big sky country.
Yeah, exactly. This is my second time in Detroit in ministry, and it really is a special place. We're just so much a part of this city that it's just wonderful to be a part of all of this. And I think all of the brothers feel the same way. We've been here so long, and people know us, and it's great. even just walking around downtown and, getting to meet people because they recognize our
You
brown
have a great
habits.
getup
And
that
I know.
People are like, oh, hey, it's, right? And I love it. And I think that is so important to help connect with the community. It's something like, oh, okay, this is somebody I can come to. You mentioned other places. I think maybe I didn't realize the impact around the country. So why don't we talk about that a little bit? Because I don't think I realized the scope of those things.
Yeah. So our province is the Midwest. So we go from Michigan to Montana in the upper part of the U.S. There are 5 other provinces in the U.S. of Capuchin Franciscans. We have a high school in Wisconsin, a boarding school for boys. We have a soup kitchen, somewhat similar on a slightly different scale in Milwaukee. They also have other projects that they're involved in Milwaukee. We serve the church on 2 Native American reservations in Montana. We have some parishes. We have our retreat center here in just north of Detroit in Washington Township. We got a pretty big reach given, there's only about 130 or so of us that are trying to do this and about 30 some of us here in Detroit.
It is amazing how much work can be done with a small dedicated group, There's many different, I don't know if the right word, and please correct me, is it orders or such? What about specifically the Capuchins drew you and what makes for that, right? Because if you're somebody who isn't as familiar with their tradition, you will see different names and such, and it might not, be evident right away what that means. So for a Capuchin, what does that mean?
Yeah, so we're an order founded by St. Francis of Assisi in the 13th century. The Capuchin Franciscans are a reform of that order from the 16th century, actually right around the time of the Protestant Reformation. We were also kind of getting our start as preachers and what they call mendicants, wandering around kind of to do preaching. The Capuchins, I think for me, in grade school, I had Franciscan sisters growing up, so I always remember, the sisters talking about St. Francis of Assisi. And so that kind of, I guess, always stuck in my head. So when I was, looking around a little bit, the Franciscan thing kind of thought, well, sister would be happy with this. In fact, one of my sisters who I have in grade school was so excited when she heard I was joining a Franciscan order. So I guess that's kind of what pulled me in. I didn't really know anything about Solanus Casey at the time. But learning about his example has really, I think, greatly affected my own vocation and the way I do ministry. At least I hope it does. So that's the idea.
Yeah. So if people want to know more, they want to get involved, what can they do? Where can they go?
We have a beautiful website that'll give you all sorts of information, www.solanuscasey.org. They can give us a call. Our number's on the website, 579-2100. 313, of course. We got an old phone number in the city of Detroit.
Well, we're getting overlay area code now.
Yeah,
so it's
I know.
It's a point of credit there.
Yeah. Or just come and visit us. We're on the corner of Mount Elliott and Kercheval Streets, just across from Mount Elliott Cemetery. Just, drive into our lot and come on in and check us out. We're there Tuesday through Sunday. We're closed on Mondays. Otherwise, we're there and we're available and ready to welcome you and give you a cup of coffee.
Well, I have to say thank you so much, Brother Stephen Kropp, for blessing us with your presence today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it's been my great pleasure. Thank you so much.